Hello guys, today I'm going to walk you through how to create a basic layout in Adobe InDesign for the Eagle Eye News magazine. So, we're not going to be using an actual story that is going to be in a print issue. Instead, I'm just going to use this story as an example. From the story, I'm using the headline, the graphic, the caption, the story, and then this infographic right here. I'm not using the rest of it just because that's not necessary for what I'm doing today, but it just serves as an example. The objective of this video is for you to watch it and have a basic understanding of how to create a basic layout from start to finish. If you're looking for a tutorial that walks you through every single step of creating a more in-depth layout for someone who's never used InDesign before, then I suggest re-watching my required video, the third one in the series that I created for the test that I administered in the middle of the 2022-2023 school year. I'll link that video in the description, but for now, I'm just going to show you how to do this. So the first thing we want to do is we want to find a layout to base our layout on. I'm using this one right here, which is from one of our magazines last year. It's from the Faces of MSD issue. And now you don't have to use layouts from our magazine for inspiration. You are more than welcome to use, in fact, actually, you're encouraged to use inspiration from other magazines. Some good ones I like a lot are Distraction Magazines, which I think belongs to the University of Miami, and then also other college magazines. If you look up like different universities, you'll find some good college student-led magazines. But then you could also look at some high school ones, such as like the Harbinger has some good layouts usually. If you want to look at them, if you want to look at, I don't know, there's a lot that have like pretty good layouts. So yeah. Anyway, I'm gonna use this one just because I like it a lot, and it recently won an award, so it was on my mind. So the first thing I'm going to do is load up this file from OneDrive, which obviously this is in OneDrive just because I'm not actually making this for a layout, but this would potentially be, or no, this would definitely be in OneDrive if I was actually making it for the magazine. And I would also make sure my graphic was in OneDrive, but again, we're not using this for a real magazine, so this doesn't have to be in OneDrive, but hypothetically it would. So I'm just going to click and drag it in. Alternatively, I could have also gone to File and did Place, but I didn't do that because I didn't want to do that. So I'm going to hold down Command and Shift to scale this proportionally. And I'm going to move this up a little bit using my arrow keys. And I'm actually going to crop it. We usually don't crop graphics, but this one, like, there's not information down there that I need. I'm also going to add a caption. I know the original layout didn't have a caption, but I think this will look better with a caption. So I'm adding one. So I'm going to create a box using the shape tool, and then go down to object styles. And I'm going to do top caption box because I'm going to have this one coming from the top. Alright, I'm going to place her up here. Usually I would design things to the bleed, except for some reason our caption boxes, the way that they're created, like the space in them doesn't allow for that. Like if I write text, it starts right here, so then if I move this up, it doesn't, it's like within this pink area. So how do we actually come to think of it? Do we put them in the pink area? Now I'm like second guessing myself. Of course there's nothing with a caption in this issue. Why would there be? Let's go to Bon Appetit. Also, everything can be found on issue, guys, if you're looking for previous issues. Oh, yeah, I guess. Yeah, no, okay, yeah, that's fine. Alright, I was doing the right thing. Anyway. Oh, yeah, I want to actually go back to that layout I was on before. If I go back, yes, I'll find it. I don't like the cover on this issue, but overall, I really do like the content. There we go. Okay, so caption. I'm going to go over here to story. I'm just going to copy the caption. Usually captions are 2 sentences, but whatever. And then also all print captions need a name, so I'm just going to call this one social media because it doesn't have a name, but it should have a name, but it's not a print caption, so it doesn't actually need a name. So yeah, I'm going to go to character styles and call it, where's caption laid in? Words by, drop cat, stories, photo by, character style. Maybe it's in paragraph style actually. Yeah, captions. There should be a character style for, there we go, lead-ins. Okay, cool. I'm gonna make this a little bit smaller. This is a very short caption. Usually captions are like quite a bit longer than this, but it wasn't for print, obviously, so it's not a very long caption. I'm just gonna make it look like that. I'm gonna double click this, and I'm actually gonna color swatch select this color here by holding down the eyedropper. So this is, I want to show you something. This is almost the same thing in Photoshop and in Illustrator. So in Photoshop, you double click this and then you hover over like your space, and it will be like, it will have an eyedropper tool. But for this, you have to actually click and drag and hold the eyedropper tool and then pick a color. Actually, I think this would look better on the other side. I didn't like plan this out before I made it, so I'm kind of just like making this from start without any planning. because I kind of just sat down and started recording this. But anyway, there we go. That looks good over there, I think, right? Yeah, I like that. I'm going to move it down so it is in line right here. All right, looking good. All right, and I'm going to add a headline. So Era of Influencers is a good, like, that's a like good like big headline, but they actually didn't put a proper headline on this story. So when you are making layouts, you want to kind of design your headlines. You don't just want them to be like Era of Influencers across the bottom, because that's really boring. So I'm going to kind of play around with this a little bit. We always like to use 2 fonts in our headlines, so I'm going to write Era right here. I'm going to go paragraph styles and go to large headlines Montserrat, all right? Era, and then I just duplicated that by holding down Option, Influencers. You can't see it because that text is bigger than the box, so I will expand the box. And I think I also spelled that wrong. No, I didn't. It just doesn't identify as a word. Okay, cool. All right, Era of Influencers. So let's see. I want to make this a lot bigger. All right, Era. I'm just gonna like kind of try some designs, make it look good. I want to make sure this is like spaced correctly, but I can kind of fix it afterwards. So Era, and then I'm gonna duplicate this by holding down Option, type of. I'm gonna put this in a smaller style. There we go. So I clicked on the brief headline style that makes it little. So Era of, maybe this has to be aligned better. Maybe that would look good. I'm kind of just playing around right now, but when you follow along, you'll know what to do because you'll have already seen this. Honestly, guys, the hardest part about making layout is just thinking of what to do. Okay, that's pretty good. So I'm going to select all of those things by dragging over it, hold down Command and Shift, and I'm going to scale it together. Look at that. All got smaller. Okay. And now I shall unlock this because I locked it for some reason. It's just like by habit. Okay, and I'm going to actually pull this down here because I want the Era of Influencers thing to be on top of this little line. So look at this. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. Wait, I lost count. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11 boxes from the top. There you go. And now I'm going to double click on this. And click on the donut. That's going to give this orange box around it. So now if I hit down Command and Shift, I'm scaling the image and not the frame. So that way I can readjust this to actually fit with the rule of thirds, because this graphic does not fit with the rule of thirds. It's still a good graphic, like it's fine, but personally I like it this way. There we go. I think that looks a lot better right now. Cool. Awesome. Great. Fun. Okay. All right. I'm going to change the colors. I'm going to select this using the text tool. I'm going to come over here, double click. I want my colors to kind of match, but not too much. So I'm going to make it, I'm going to go here to the H, make it a little bit more like red so you can kind of read it. I'm going to turn off that. Okay. Looking all right. How can I make this visible? Or maybe it wouldn't look good. So maybe stacking it doesn't look good. Or maybe I have to make influencers smaller. Let's see. What will look good, guys? I don't know. You're getting a lot of like kind of insight into how I do this, because I don't really I don't start out a layout doing the first thing right and thinking, oh yeah, that looks great. Like I never do anything for the first time and enjoy it or like it. Also, this is obviously going to be an unedited first draft of a layout that I'm creating. I'm by no means creating a perfect layout or even like a very good layout. I'm just kind of creating a decent layout that follows instructions, which is the goal of today's exercise. Okay, cool. I'm going to make this darker. So Era of Influencers. I'm going to also make this the same dark color. Whoops, that's not it. I'm going to select of, highlight it, double click, hold down this, and drag over here. All right, same dark color. Era of Influencers. Again, double clicking, expanding. That way I can like kind of move her elbow over a little bit so it's not in the way of this big of. Okay, I think that looks pretty decent. Move that down. There we go. Okay, that's all right for now. This obviously like isn't perfect. Like I don't think I would have a finished layout that would look like this, but it's good for now. Okay, so now we're gonna go back. We're gonna select the story. I'm going to ignore just these little like headlines because it's not really necessary for this print layout. So when you select the story, oh wait, actually this is like a broken up story, so I'm gonna actually have to do it like this. That's a little bit annoying. I'm gonna do it piece by piece. I'm just copy pasting it. 5 boxes or 6 boxes wide, but this is a shorter story, so 5 boxes wide will do. So I'm just going to paste this all into here, right? Obviously, this isn't all the text fitting in there, but it's like as much as it can show, and there's like a plus sign. I'm going to come over here, and I'm going to go to Baskerville, which is where's Baskerville? Story paragraphs, Baskerville. There we go. Okay, cool. And now I'm going to drag this down to about here. I'm going to hit the plus sign. I'm going to continue it. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Make sure it lines up perfectly on the blue lines, guys. It shouldn't like have any issue with that. All right, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Lovely, perfect, amazing. Okay, cool. That's all for now. And I'm actually going to move this back up because I didn't think about the fact that I actually needed space between the graphic and the story. Who would have thought? Who would have thunk it? Haha. This doesn't quite work in this image just because there's like the lines in the background, so it's distracting for the text. Just FYI, but that's not really the point here because obviously it worked here since we had like a darker background. Oh, another thing. Right now I'm holding down Option to duplicate the word era. I'm going to highlight it. I'm going to swap stroke and fill, double click this, and drag it down to black to create this outline. That's how you do that. I know I did it kind of quickly, but this is a video, so you can replay that if you didn't catch it. But anyway, that's how you do that to create that little signature thing that we do. And now I'm deleting all of the spaces between the paragraphs because we cannot have space between the paragraphs in print. That does not look good. But online we do that, so it's a little bit annoying. I'm going to highlight the first paragraph, and I'm going to go to initial paragraph with drop. That will give us the drop cap. That's very nice. This F is kind of like dangling right there, and it's kind of bothering me. I'm going to lock the graphic layer so I can select other things, and it's not going to affect the graphic. That is what locking a layer does after all. It does do that. Cool, now I can move this up and all of this up. Alright, that looks fine. I mean, like I said, this isn't perfect. This is a very much like a first draft of a layout, so I wouldn't go with this. Falk would probably move it like this so it's on one line. It'd be era of influencers or something. But the reason I did this was just to demonstrate that you like to have some sort of design to your headline. But again, this is a first draft without much thought into it, and I didn't do a sketch, so obviously it's not going to be perfect. Okay, so now I'm going to copy paste the rest of the story into here. Again, I'm just skipping over like these little headlines because because I don't need them for this example layout that I'm doing, but we do have a style. It's called like short story headlines or like sub headlines. No, it's not sub headlines. It's called something else, but we do have a style for that. I'm just gonna use as much text as I need. What you would also do is when you're writing a print story or when you're working on a print story, you would talk to the editor and you guys would figure out how long the story should be. So again, obviously the story was not designed for print, so like we didn't have that conversation, so it's way too long, which is why I'm deleting the end of it. So when you guys are following this along later, feel free to do that, or just don't use all of it. It doesn't really matter because this isn't a real thing. Let's see, I'm gonna actually delete this part too. There's a lot in here, wow. But yeah, so this is an online story, so it's gonna be a lot longer than a print story. All right, how long is this? Let's extend this box. All right, not much longer. So let's see, how can I do this? Where does it say? How can I do this? It goes down to content. I'm just going to include down to this line. So when you guys are doing this later, include down to the word chances. That is where you'll end. And then make sure that the bottom of this text select box aligns with the rest. Oh, actually though, I'm going to delete this entire last paragraph because I just remembered something. We have to add a headline. So headline is going, I forgot, well, I didn't just remember we had to add a headline. I knew that all along. I just forgot that I hadn't already made space for it. So the headline's going to go right here just because that is what it was like in my sketch. I mean, on my inspiration. And now they didn't write a headline, and I haven't read this story, but I'm just going to give it a headline. I'm going to say, Ryzen influencer. I have not read this story, so that might be a totally fictitious headline. I don't know. I'm just doing this to demonstrate what a headline looks like in print. And yes, this is what a headline looks like in print. Okay, cool. So, rise in influencer popularity leads to poor mental health for teens. A lot of the time, print headlines are much longer. Maybe I do need this paragraph now that I'm looking back at it. I know, there's a lot of back and forth, but I'm showing you guys the process. Okay, there we go. Alright, I guess I'll I'll just end it here. Okay, so down to the word content, excluding the mid paragraph headlines. All right, cool. So now we have a headline, we have a subheadline, we have a drop cap, we have the story. Looking good so far. I want to add the credit. I believe this is by Lily Singer. I would verify that, except it doesn't matter because this isn't real. So story by Lily Singer. I'm going to highlight just this. I'm going to go to character styles, writer name for story by, and select and story by words. There you go. Looks pretty good. Story by Lily Singer. Lily Singer. Good job, Lily Singer. And yeah, so now I'm going to work on the infographic part. I'm going to kind of take the colors again out of like the photo. So I'm going to create a box, and I think I'm going to have it go off the page. So I'm going to put it down to the bleed so it bleeds off the page. I just swapped the stroke and fill because I didn't want any stroke on it and only the stroke was appearing. But I could have done it up here too. Eyedropper, I'm going to select this color. I think it looks nice. And now I'm going to lock the rectangle because I'm about to make edits to it. Also, ignore this little blue line. That is part of the master doc. That is for like adding the page number and stuff, and that's not something that you will need to worry about. So let's see. Let's look at their infographic. Okay, the effects of influencer era. 72% say they trust. I wish I could highlight this. All right, of people say their trust in influencers has increased throughout the past year. All right, so okay. So generally, my personal like decision is that I like to not have too many pie charts. So I might include these in different ways. But for now, I would want to go to infographic. Let's see. I think I would use probably infographic labels next to percent. So how did they do it here? They did the number at the bottom. Okay. So for making a pie chart, there's like one main way that we like to make pie charts, and that is with Chartwell pies. I'm now feeling like this is the wrong font. Am I going crazy? It's definitely possible. It's definitely possible that I am just absolutely going crazy. This is probably the wrong font. Let me look. Nope. It's not. I'm just going crazy. Okay, cool. So, create a text box. So I think this was what, like 72%, right? Yeah, so 72%. Let's see, 100 minus 72 is like 23, I think. No, not 23, 28. Okay, sorry. It's been a long day. So 72 plus, what did I say, 28? Okay, this is going to create a chart. So if I go up here, I can go to Chartwell pies. All right, and then I'm going to make these two different colors. So I'm going to make this one, double click and drag. This one I'm going to make red. And this one I am going to make white. Okay, so this is red and that is white. You can't see it, but it's white. I'm going to hit this O. I'm going to go to set 1, and it makes a pie chart that is extremely tiny. But if I make it a bigger font, now you can see that there's a pie chart. It looks like there's an empty part, but it's just white, and that's a white background. That's what it looks like. But I want that little space in the middle. So in order to get that, I will go back down here, and I will do 72 plus 28 plus A. So again, I'm going to highlight the 28 and make it white, and the A is going to create a space in the middle of the pie chart. So I'm going to double click on this, click and drag this down to the pink, and now there's like a little pink A. Again, highlight set 1, and you can kind of see that there's now a space in the pie chart. So the reason I made it pink was because our background is pink, but if it was on a white background, I would have made it white. I just made the text thing smaller, or the text box smaller, so now I can Command and Shift and then scale this to be the size that I want. Wow, look at that. Isn't that cute? So nice. We have a little pie chart now. So what I'm going to do, this isn't really the way we usually make pie charts. Usually we would use pie charts for like showing like, oh, this is they do trust, this is they don't trust. So like I'm just going to do it that way, even though the data and the other infographic displayed it differently. So I'm going to phrase it as a question. I'm going to say, do you, or let's see, has your trust in influencers increased in the past year? Okay, is that really, InDesign just doesn't see this as a word. That's so strange. Okay, so I would use this font right here, which is Infographic Labels. No, it is, which one? Here we go. All right, has your trust in influencers increased in the past year? Perfect. So I'm gonna bring that up here. I'm gonna put this down here. And this is going to be yes. And then this is going to be no. And don't worry about putting these two things, guys, in the exact places that I am. If yours are in the exact place, that will indicate to me that you have cheated and you have just found my file, in which case you're not getting the exercise. So I'm going to, this is going to be numbers infographics right there. So 28%. All right. I'm going to highlight that, make it white. Ah, there you go. So 28%, say no. I'm going to copy paste this, place it over here, and I'm going to say 72%, say yes. So again, eyedropper, there we go. Cool. So keep in mind, you should also not just be following along with what I'm doing, but you should be learning because you're going to have to make a layout in the next assignment. I'm going to get the pen tool, and I'm going to draw a line. Actually, if you hold down shift, it'll make a straight line, so I'm going to draw a line. And here, oops, I'm going to hit escape to exit that line, hit the pen tool again to re-enter a line, and this one's going to be yes. Okay, cool. And both of these lines are too thick, so I'm going to make this 0.5. You could also, I could also have adjusted that in the paragraph panel right there, but I just chose to do it up here in the not the options bar. Is it the options bar? It might be called the options bar. I don't remember. I think it is the options bar. And now I'm going to hit command and the back bracket, and as you can see in my layers panel, the line is moving down. So I want to move it behind. Command back bracket moves things behind a layer. Command close bracket moves things ahead a layer. So yeah, there we go. There's an infographic. It's nice and small. I'm going to scale it and make it a little bit bigger because it is a bit small. Again, this doesn't have to be exact when you guys copy my design. Just make it similar because I just want to see that you guys are learning how to do this. Okay, so the other data, I will do this not like while I'm recording, just because that will be a lot of work for you guys to watch, and you've already watched me do this, so you already know how to do this. But what I am going to do is I am going to scooch this little guy over because I want to add a headline and a subheadline. So I think the infographic in our original inspiration, which was in this issue, our original inspiration doesn't have that, which is a good example again of how I'm not making it exactly the same. I'm just making it similar. I mean, this was kind of a little bit similar because it did have this. It just also had this LGBTQIA plus and this other statistic, which I like this better than what I'm doing right now. The only reason I'm doing it like this is because that's just what I have to work with. But I could potentially, another thing I would want to do, I would want to maybe have a pie chart and then do like an icon with a big number next to it, just like I did in this issue, I believe. Let's look. Yeah, like I did here, like I like this type of thing. So like if I was making this from scratch and actually was making this for print, I would probably want some diversity in what I made in my infographic. So I'd probably want to use something like this in addition to a pie chart, or maybe use a statistic like this. Like there's a bunch of different ways to display statistics. Personally, I like to get a little bit creative with that. So you can look through some of our past issues and find that out. But anyway, so we're going to add a headline. Let's see, let's think of a creative headline for this. What's a cool headline for an influencer? I don't know, I'm just going to call it social influences. I'm not feeling very creative today, guys. I just want to show you how to use InDesign. Paragraph, brief headline. That's what we use for any, for any like little infographic panels. We use the brief headline style. We also use that obviously for briefs. All right, so social. All right, social. I'm gonna use the same colors. Can I make this like slightly smaller? Okay, cool. Social influences. That one it should definitely recognize as a word. Social, or you know what? Let's just say social influence. Okay. And again, double click, take the color, drag it down here. You also add to swatches, and then you could just find them up here in your swatches. That's technically the right way to do this, and it's probably the way that Falk will want you to do this also. So just a heads up, that's a thing. Oh, and of course, when I turn that back to the paragraph style, it did not save as I wanted it to. That is unfortunate. Okay, we'll do that again. We'll do the color all over again from the very beginning. But before that, I will line this up because I remember that I did not do that before. All right, I'm lining it up with the grid just to let you know, just so you can see what I'm doing right now. All right, so social influence, again, highlight, zoom out, this, drag and drop to the right color. There we go, looks perfect. Okay, great. And then this also would have to have a subheadline. So like a subheadline for this. I mean, like when you're making the infographic, you can kind of come up with these subheadlines because they're not that difficult. But a subheadline would just be in the normal subheadline font and it would go right beneath it. What will I write? I will call it, I don't know, students report, or no, students share their feelings on recent digital influencer trends, something like that. I didn't read any of this, so I really don't know what it's about, but like hypothetically, that would be a good headline. So yeah, right there, and it's in our proper paragraph style. If you go right here, I'm going to move this down so it's like kind of centered just because I think it looks better. Fun fact, go to paragraph panel, center align it, and then center align it in alignment, and then you can move it over and it's all like nicely lined up with itself, and I think that looks nice. If I wanted, I can move it down, and yeah, that looks pretty good, except for the fact that influence has like a very long tail in the F and it kind of messes us up, but you get the point. Another thing that we sometimes do is we sometimes like we layer the words on top of one another, so that looks kind of cute too. But yeah, it's really up to you guys, like when you're making your layouts. Obviously this time it's not up to you, but yeah, I'm gonna add the other two pie charts and then you will see it in a second when it is all done. But for now, this is what I want you guys to create. I want you guys to copy this exactly as I have done it, which will be like, I'll show the final product in just a second, like when I finish talking and recording this video. But yeah, so essentially this is what you're creating. So good luck with that. If you have any questions, do let me know. This will be an assignment, probably for a grade. And as a follow-up assignment, there's another story that you guys are going to have to make a double page layout out of. And that one will be up to your own creative interpretation, meaning that you will find your source and you will use the story that we give you and you will create a layout that is to our liking. Anyway, that is all. Hope you learned something. Goodbye.